Over the last year, you may have seen strange things in the news. Things that have been discovered that are unexplainable. These mysteries are extremely bizarre and have confused anyone who has even heard about them. Even those who have made the discoveries have yet to explain them. The following are the strangest mysteries that were discovered this year. Here are the 10 biggest mysteries of 2018. Number 10 is the Furry Sea Creature. In August of 2018, the carcass of a massive, bizarre-looking creature washed up onto a Russian beach from the Bering Sea, terrifying those who lived nearby and many who saw images of it online. Despite being viewed by so many, none could offer a clear identification in regards to the body's species, with some claiming that it was possibly an ancient creature. The animal was at least 3 times larger than the average human being, and it was covered in gray and white hair. It had no discernible head or limbs other than a tail or tentacle that protruded from one part of its mass. While some experts have claimed it's likely a whale or at least part of one, others have rejected this conclusion. What the furry sea creature definitively is still being hotly debated. Number 9 is US workers' mysterious illness. One of the biggest mysteries to pop up in 2018 was a medical one, but it's not just the condition that's stumping investigators, but the individuals it's targeting as well. In June of 2018, at least 9 diplomats were evacuated from a United States consulate by the State Department after a mysterious illness struck them. The diplomats, all 9 of which were American citizens working out of the Guangzhou, China consulate, each complained about hearing some strange loud sounds shortly before they began exhibiting symptoms of brain trauma. It was almost as if they all suddenly suffered concussions. Officials worry that American diplomats, not just in China, but around the world, may be targets of deliberate attacks, but nobody seems to know for sure. Are these in fact attacks? Who's behind them? What is their purpose? No one knows. Number 8 is 100 fallen trees. In the early morning hours of January 27, 2018, a mysterious force swept along the north shore of Lake Quenu in western Washington state, one that was so powerful it managed to topple 100 giant trees, shaking them out of their roots and bringing them to the ground. However, strangely, that force was otherwise seemingly unfelt by anyone. Investigators and experts concluded that the culprit responsible for the devastation was a powerful and sudden windstorm, and that the falling trees hit the ground with enough force to register as an earthquake on a seismic monitor positioned nearby. But if it was a freakish windstorm, it was one that didn't manage to make itself known to any of the nearby weather stations, which registered only light breezes that morning. So the question is, what was so stealthy yet powerful enough to bring down 100 giant trees without anyone in the area noticing? Number 7 is the mysterious Dog Contagion. In the summer of 2018, a respiratory illness began spreading from carrier to carrier on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, though the infected weren't actually human beings, but instead were dogs. The disease, which caused coughing which was so bad in some dogs that they would become nauseous and vomit, affected a number of animals, meaning that it was clearly very contagious. It left veterinarians scratching their heads and a number of pet owners scrambling to find their canine counterparts' help. The vets performed several tests, but after checking for the 11 different viruses that can cause coughing in dogs, not one of them was identified. As of today, none of the infected dogs have lost their lives to the illness. However, scientists are still no closer to determining what caused it. Number 6 is the CDC workers' mysterious drowning. In February of 2018, Timothy Cunningham, a 35-year-old Center for Disease Control worker, went missing in Atlanta, Georgia under truly mysterious circumstances. Cunningham was an epidemiologist studying diseases within populations of people and had been invaluable to the CDC during public emergencies such as the Ebola outbreak and the Zika virus. Last seen alive on February 12th, his body was found 2 months later in the Chattahoochee River, with no indication of how it got there. Adding to the mystery was the fact that the area his corpse was located in had been searched prior to his discovery. The medical examiner declared Cunningham had drowned, and the death was ruled a suicide, though there are several who doubt that it was. Number 5 is who's destroying the ozone. A group of scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as the NOAA, published a study on May 16, 2018 that revealed that someone is breaking the law in helping to destroy the Earth's ozone layer. The organization determined that the culprit is somewhere in Eastern Asia, and they're dealing their part of the damage through the use of chemicals. Labeled CFC-11, the chemical in question used to be used in refrigerants, foam-blowing agents, and aerosol sprays, but it was supposed to be completely phased out in 2010. There is now clear evidence that someone has been using it again, increasing the amount of dangerous emissions affecting the planet's protective barrier. However, who exactly is doing this is still unknown. Number 4 is a car hanging off a Toronto bridge. A number of commuters driving in Toronto, Canada on May 1st, 2018 were beyond surprised to see something quite out of the ordinary on their ride to work. What they happened to spot was a car hanging from the Leaside Bridge. Emergency personnel arrived to find the scene had been roped off with yellow caution tape, an action usually taken by the police. However, this had been done before the police arrived. The car, a blue sedan without an engine or, thankfully, a person inside of it, was suspended by a thick cable. Toronto officials believe the stunt was either for a film shoot or just a very elaborate prank pulled on the city. However, it's still not known why the car was hung up there or how exactly it got there, especially without witnesses. Number 3 are 72 explosions in space. In early 2018, astronomers studying the supernovae via the Dark Energy Supernova program at the Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory in the Chilean Andes became witnesses to a spectacularly strange occurrence. Through their instruments, including a giant 4-meter-long telescope, the scientists spotted at least 72 extremely bright explosions in deep space. The event, which occurred around 4 billion light-years away from the Earth, baffled the scientists, as the explosions were visible for too short a time to be supernovas that they were hoping to spot, each of them evolving more rapidly than a dying star normally does. Yet, they somehow appeared to be just as bright. After several months, there's still no explanation for what was happening or exactly what those explosions were. Number 2 is a bag of hands. In March of 2018, a large bag was found by a group of locals near a popular fishing spot on an Amur River island located in the Siberian city of Kavkaz, Russia. Upon investigating the bag, the group was alarmed to find it contained 27 pairs of severed human hands. It was initially believed by many that a sadistic serial killer had been taking the hands as trophies, having hacked off the 54 appendages for their sick collection. However, it was later announced by the Russian government via social media accounts that the bag had belonged to a forensic scientist who needed the hands for identification purposes. Of course, how they got to the island in a simple bag is still a mystery. Some theorize the Russian government is covering something sinister up. And number 1 is the Hart family's tragic end. On March 26, 2018, a person driving down United States Highway 101 in Mendocino County, California, accidentally discovered the aftermath of a horrifying car crash. The victims, Jennifer and Sarah Hart, and 3 of their adopted children, were found dead inside the wreckage. The family had allegedly fled their home in Woodland, Washington, 2 days prior to avoid a child abuse investigation. Police say that there was no evidence of Jennifer, who was driving the car at the time of the fatal accident, trying to slow down as they drove off a tall cliff. In addition, at least 2 of the children were sedated with drugs. The question is, why do this and why were they there? Sadly, we may never know.